You filled the feeder. You changed the water. You even bought the expensive seed. But one morning the birds stopped coming. No cardinals on the fence. No chickadees at sunrise. No flutter of wings outside your window. Just silence. And the strange part is, birds never leave without a reason. To you, your yard may look peaceful, safe, perfectly normal. But to a bird, your yard is constantly sending signals. Signals of danger. Signals of stress. Signals that whisper, "Don't land here." Maybe it's where you placed the feeder. Maybe it's the chemicals in your grass. Maybe it's the outdoor cat next door. Or maybe it's something so small you've never even noticed it before. Here's the truth most people never realize. Birds are not randomly visiting your yard. They are evaluating it every single day. Watching, remembering, deciding whether they trust you. And once that trust is broken, they don't complain. They disappear. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden everyday mistakes silently driving birds away from your yard, and why some birds may never return once they decide your space is unsafe. After this, you'll never look at your backyard the same way again. Your yard feels dangerous. Most people think birds come to feeders because they're hungry. That's only half the story. Before a bird ever lands in your yard, it performs a silent survival calculation. Every branch, every sound, every movement is scanned for danger. To a bird, feeding is one of the most vulnerable moments of its life. The second its feet touch that feeder, escape becomes harder. And that means location matters more than food. One of the biggest mistakes backyard bird lovers make is placing feeders where humans enjoy seeing them instead of where birds feel safe using them. An open lawn may look beautiful from your kitchen window, but to a cardinal or finch, it feels like standing in the middle of a parking lot while predators watch from above. Birds need nearby cover. Shrubs, trees, dense branches. Something they can dive into instantly if danger appears. Research from bird behavior studies consistently shows that birds prefer feeders positioned near natural shelter, but not so close that predators can hide underneath. There's a delicate balance between visibility and escape, and predators are everywhere. A single hawk circling overhead can silence an entire yard. A neighborhood cat walking through once a day can permanently change how birds view your space. Birds remember danger, not emotionally the way humans do, but biologically. Through patterns, through repeated survival experiences. If your yard repeatedly triggers stress signals, birds stop wasting energy visiting it. They simply move on to another yard that feels calmer, quieter, safer. To you, it's just a feeder. To them, it's the difference between life and death. The food you give them may be useless. Most bags labeled wild bird seed are designed to attract customers. Not birds. Bright colors, mixed grains, cheap filler ingredients that make the bag look generous while offering very little nutritional value to the species people actually want to attract. Cardinals, chickadees, finches, nuthatches. Many of the birds people love most will ignore large portions of these low-quality mixes entirely. Instead, they search for something specific. High-energy food worth the risk of landing. Birds live on an extreme energy budget. Every flight burns calories. Every cold night drains reserves. During winter, a small bird can lose a significant percentage of its body weight just trying to survive until morning. That means food quality matters enormously. Black oil sunflower seed has become one of the most universally preferred seeds among North American birds for a reason. It's rich in fat, easy to crack open, and provides massive energy returns compared to cheaper grains like milo or oats. Safflower seed is another powerful option, especially for attracting cardinals while discouraging aggressive invasive species like house sparrows. But food alone isn't enough. Fresh water often attracts more birds than feeders do, and this is where many yards quietly fail. A stagnant bird bath becomes dangerous fast. Within days, standing water can grow bacteria, algae, mosquito larvae, and disease. Birds are incredibly sensitive to unhealthy water sources, but moving water changes everything. A tiny dripper or fountain creates sound and reflection that birds can detect from surprisingly long distances. To them, moving water signals freshness, safety, and life. Sometimes the difference between an empty yard and a thriving one is nothing more than a few ripples in water. Your yard might be too clean. Humans love tidy spaces. Short grass, trimmed hedges, empty flower beds, leaves raked away the moment they fall, dead branches removed immediately. To us, that looks organized. To birds, it looks lifeless. What many people call yard waste is actually an entire ecosystem. Fallen leaves hide insects, larvae, seeds, spiders, beetles, and countless microscopic food sources birds depend on every day. When you remove every leaf, every branch, every patch of wild growth, you remove the foundation of natural bird life. Especially during winter, cold months are brutal for birds. Natural food becomes scarce. Energy becomes precious. A small brush pile or unmowed corner suddenly becomes shelter, warmth, and survival. Dead trees and broken branches are even more important than most people realize. Woodpeckers use them for nesting. Chickadees hide food inside them. Countless insects live beneath their bark. But modern yards are often designed to eliminate every sign of natural disorder. And in doing so, they accidentally eliminate the very things birds need most. Birds don't want perfect yards. They want functional ones. A single untidy corner filled with leaves and native plants can support more life than an entire manicured lawn. And then there's the hidden danger most people never think about at all. Chemicals. Pesticides don't just kill mosquitoes or garden pests. They poison the entire food chain. Insects disappear first. Then the birds that feed on them stop nesting nearby. Then the silence begins. Not suddenly, quietly, one season at a time. Birds are always watching you. Most people think birds are simple creatures reacting on instinct alone. But modern research tells a very different story. Birds remember places. Birds recognize patterns. And some birds even recognize human faces. Crows are famous for this. Studies have shown they can remember people who threatened them years earlier and even teach future generations to avoid those individuals. But even smaller backyard birds are constantly learning from experience. The cardinal visiting your feeder every morning is not there by accident. Over time, that bird has built a mental map of your yard, where food appears, where danger exists, when humans emerge, when noise happens, when safety disappears. Your behavior becomes part of their survival system. Birds quickly learn routines. They recognize the sound of doors opening, footsteps on porches, lawnmowers starting, dogs barking, children running. Consistent environments create trust. Unpredictable environments create fear. That's why loud, sudden disturbances can completely change bird behavior in a yard. Wind chimes beside feeders, constant outdoor noise, random movement near feeding areas. These small things force birds into a constant state of vigilance. And vigilance burns energy. A stressed bird eats less, rests less, and eventually avoids the location altogether. What's fascinating is that birds aren't only observing your yard. In a strange way, they are observing you. Not emotionally, not personally, but biologically. They are constantly deciding whether your presence belongs in their definition of safety. And when birds finally trust a space, something remarkable happens. They return daily, season after season, sometimes year after year. Not because they have nowhere else to go, because out of countless possible places, they chose yours. The silent relationship you never noticed. Most backyard bird lovers think they are feeding birds. But over time, something deeper quietly happens. A relationship forms. Not in the human sense of conversation or affection, but through repetition, familiarity, and trust. Birds begin recognizing the rhythms of your space, the sound of your mornings, the timing of your routines, the consistency of food and water. And once that pattern becomes reliable, your yard becomes part of their survival strategy. This is especially true during harsh winters. For many small birds, surviving a freezing night is a mathematical battle against starvation. They spend every daylight hour searching for enough calories to stay alive until sunrise. That feeder outside your window may look small to you. To them, it can mean survival. But trust works both ways. when feeders stay empty for long periods, when water freezes, when danger repeatedly appears, birds slowly stop depending on the location. Not dramatically, quietly, visit by visit, one less landing, one shorter stay, one missed morning, until eventually, the feeder remains full but untouched. And that silence feels strange because most people never realized they were participating in something alive and ongoing. Birds are not decorations passing randomly through your yard. They are wild creatures making constant survival decisions in a dangerous world. And when they repeatedly return to the same place, they are offering something surprisingly rare: trust. A trust earned slowly through consistency, safety, and care. And once you begin seeing your yard through their eyes, you stop asking, "Why don't birds come here anymore?" You start asking something much more important. What is my yard telling them? Why birds leave forever? Birds almost never disappear all at once. First, the yard gets quieter. The regular cardinal stops arriving every morning. The chickadees visit less often. The familiar songs fade into the background. At first, you barely notice it. Life feels normal. The feeder is still full. The water is still there. But the birds are slowly making a decision. Because to them, survival is not emotional. It's practical. A safer yard exists somewhere else. A quieter yard exists somewhere else. A yard with cleaner water, fewer predators, better shelter, and less stress exists somewhere else. And birds follow safety the same way humans follow comfort. What makes this heartbreaking is how invisible the process feels. Most people never realize they were building trust with wild creatures until that trust is gone. A familiar bird disappears and suddenly the yard feels empty in a way that's difficult to explain. Not because the birds belong to you, but because their presence became part of your daily life. A silent relationship formed without words. And once you truly understand that, everything changes. You stop seeing birds as random visitors. You stop seeing your yard as decoration. You stop thinking nature exists separately from you. Instead, you realize something profound. Every feeder, every tree, every source of water, every quiet morning is part of a fragile agreement between your world and theirs. And every single day, the birds decide whether that agreement still feels safe enough to return. That's the part most people never understand. The birds were never just visiting. They were choosing you,